committed to preserving the vast customs of a vibrant cultural heritage.
Welcome to In Conversation, folks. We come to you from Washington, D.C. My name is Ramesh
And I'm Anisha Abraham.
Folks, just a point of pride for us and our community. Darshan has been representing you now for 23 years. We started in 1987.
That is a long time.
That has been a long time. And you know what brought me to think about it? Last show, all of you four co-hosts were here, and a remarkable change has occurred in almost everyone's life, particularly in you. Yes. And when you came here, you were single, you got married, you had your first baby, this second baby on the way, and here's Asta. She came in as an NRI, a green card holder, became a citizen, worked other places, and now is starting to run her own company, and so on and so forth. I mean, everybody has such a growth, and I am so happy to hear that.
And you have a new change as well. You have
Yes.
maybe a Bollywood look, a Amitabh Bachchan look here.
I tell you where the thought came in. I was watching poker. And, folks, in poker, people try to hide their face. They don't want to show naked emotions on a face. And, yes, when your face is naked, people can read you. And these guys put on dark glasses and all of that. But I thought the best way to hide your face is to put hair on it. Now, if I do a full thing, I probably will be said, oh, my God, he might be a terrorist or this and that and the other stuff. And in business and in personal life, sometimes you don't want people to read all of your face.
But I thought eyes were the window to the soul.
They are, but I wear glasses.
Okay.
You can only see it as much as I want you to, I know of people who wear dark glasses, and if I'm talking to them, I get very frustrated because I can't see their emotions. I can't figure it out because you need to look at the eyes to get a feeling as to what kind of a conversation you're having. So you're right. Eyes are window to the world, but this one hides some of the emotions.
So you'll tell us if your poker game is actually going to improve.
It's my business world should improve. Poker game, I don't know. I'll never be in one of those tournaments where you win millions of dollars.
So how was your holiday?
Well, we went to Bahamas, and I want to tell you it's a beautiful place. The economy hurts there. And I was talking to the taxi driver trying to say, hey, you got beautiful weather, sun all the time. You have so much green stuff up here. How come your economy is suffering? How come your government is not thinking of using all that land and the people that you have because of the unemployment? And he said, well, the government has finally decided they want to get outsiders. So there was a U.S. developer and a Chinese developer, and they wanted to develop Bahamas. The American developer left because of the recession, but the Chinese developer is going to develop Bahamas. They got 1 million acres up there. They're going to bring in $2 billion, and they're going to do farming up there and solar energy, which I believe then they're going to export it to America. But Chinese are everywhere.
I agree with you.
So after my trip back here, the first thing I read is about Chinese banks. Chinese banks are lending money. They have lent as much as $1.5 trillion comparing to American banks, and they're giving money to almost all kinds of companies all around the world, Australia, America, Europe, and the other places. And most of these companies are actually starting operations in China. China now wants to own everything. For instance, you remember we did a story a while back where we said some of the chips, when the airplanes, the defense industry has to repair things, they're looking for chips that are kind of old. And they get it from China because these guys are doing stripping of the old equipment in China. So what China has decided, that they can have the best defense industry. They can have the best of economic development. But the CPU is now made in China. It's made in America. Just like Americans don't want to depend on the Chinese spare parts, China does not want to depend for their defense and for their economic development in the CPU business. They started in 2001, and now here it is 2010. They are going to be the force in the world.
I completely agree with you. I think China is definitely a force that we're going to need to be continuing to watch in the next decade.
Yeah, but you know, when you see the history, it's like 20 years they went from zero to hero. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing change in the world. America used to be the king of the world, and now China is the one that runs the world.
Some people actually predict that India, as one of the world's fastest growing economies, will actually overtake China in the next 10 years. So I think India is another power that we still need to be looking at.
But we are still waiting for the politicians to do their thing. It's like you have to have freedom for politicians to grow.
Ramesh, I think a lot of people would agree that 2009 was not a particularly happy year. We had the recession, we had people lose jobs, we had home foreclosures, and economists have been able to measure things like the gross domestic product. They've been able to measure how many people have lost their jobs. But one of the questions they've been struggling with is how do they measure happiness, and particularly happiness as it relates to the recession and job loss and so on. And there are a number of people that have really tried to take this on. For example, the Sarkozy Commission, led by a Nobel Prize-winning economist and sponsored by the President of France, has been looking into true measures and actually have trying to develop broader measures of national well-being. Again, a way of trying to measure whether or not people are happy. Now, we've known for years that in Bhutan, a very small country, that they've actually tried to use gross national happiness as a way to actually measure their progress in their country. But the United States is actually jumping into this, and the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, is now trying to incorporate novel measures of, again, measuring happiness and into their national health statistics. And according to one researcher that has been looking into happiness and has looked into many different countries as to what really are the measures of happiness, and she's looked at countries like Afghanistan and Chile and the United States, she's found that there are remarkably similar driving forces when it comes to happiness. And in fact, it boils down to this, that if you have a stable marriage, you have good health, and you have economic stability, those are all good predictors of happiness. Those seem pretty straightforward. However, if you have divorce, if you have economic instability, or you have unemployment, those are things that also will be problems when it comes to happiness.
True.
Now, what she also says is that there's a inverted correlation, a U-shaped correlation, in fact, between age and happiness. So, and it turns out that somewhere in your mid to late 40s, something I can look forward to, your happiness factor increases. So as one gets older, then happiness seems to increase. Of course, that is if you stay happy and if you're in a domestic partnership. What she's also found is that when there is uncertainty, then people tend to be less happy. And we saw that profoundly when they measured certain indexes of happiness. It seemed to decrease significantly during the time of the recession, and it seems to